Well, what's up, my people? How are we doing? This is Zach with KT Outdoors, and today it is time for another mid-month garden update, April 15th. Let's see the good, the bad, and the ugly coming up next. Well, hello, and thank you for joining us here at KT Outdoors, where we like to help you learn how to grow your own food by growing the soil that will ultimately feed your body and your soul, all while saving you and your family money in the process. Today we're doing our mid-April garden update, and I have to be honest, there's been some things that have gone well. We've got some things going good, and yeah, a few things not so good, kind of going bad actually. But that's gardening, right? Like, you have your plans, you have your best intentions, you think you know what you're going to do, and then life happens. Life gets in the way. This early on, especially, weather, windstorms, rainstorms. Actually, we haven't had much rain. I would take it in a heartbeat because it's pretty dry right now. But things happen, and maybe what you thought you were going to get to in the garden just didn't get accomplished. That's okay. That is my number one message for you in this update. No matter what has happened, no matter what you have or have not gotten done, just keep going, okay? Because the thing about a garden is it just goes, right? Like, it just kind of flows, and you have a long window, and we set ourselves all of these timelines, which I do too, right? Like, I wanted certain things done this spring. I had all of these big plans, some of which I've shared with you in other videos. They didn't all get done, and that's just fine. That's part of the learning process. So let's talk first about some of the things that are going good, because there have been actually quite a few of them. I don't know that we have ever had the lettuce in the position that it is right now. Like, we have a lot of lettuce in the ground. It is super early, and it's all growing phenomenal. I'll drop in some footage right here so you can see how it's doing down there. And I was actually looking at some of my old photos and videos from last year. And this time last year, literally like this date, April 15th, last year we were just starting to fill the first of those raised beds. We weren't even growing yet in our new garden space down there in the formal garden. So to have lettuce and peas and some carrots and some strawberry and the most amazing cilantro I've ever seen that survived on its own from last winter, like, to have that stuff there already is a huge step forward for our production, because none of that was even there last year. We weren't even growing yet. We were just filling boxes. So that whole space, everything that's going on down there, the kale, the lettuce, the cabbages, all of that in the ground now is a huge win, and a step forward from where we were this time last year. One of the other things that has gone phenomenally well this year is this fence behind me. My wife is a rock star, and she got out here early on. We had some really nice weather early, and she jumped right on getting the fence restained. It wasn't looking so hot. I'll try to find some old footage of the before picture, like how it looked at the end of last year and the start of this spring. But now it looks absolutely amazing. She did a phenomenal job getting that all taken care of, and it's just great. Like, I'll go get a close-up so you can see it better. Another thing that I'm super excited about this year too is the bed prep. Like, a lot of these beds down here in the formal garden, especially that one right there, some of them around the corner, like, we're very much ahead of the game this year on that whole side of things, which feels really good. It is by no means perfect. This will be the first place that we drop in some of the things that have gone bad, right? Because I've just been too busy, and you can see I'll drop in some better footage. The weeds have started to kind of do their thing, and I just haven't been able to get out here and take care of them, which is fine. That happens. Don't beat yourself up over these things. Just get to them as soon as you have time to get to them. Once you get it done, they'll go away, right? And they'll be kind of in check for a while, and then you just keep plowing forward. That's the message. Just keep going. No matter where you are, just keep going with the process. Hey, if you like these little garden updates and you're getting some value out of this content, do me a favor and maybe give this video a quick little thumbs up. That really helps us with the YouTube algorithm so that it knows that this is good content. I think it's great, but you know, YouTube doesn't unless you tell it. So give it a thumbs up and maybe subscribe so you can find some of our more content coming up later. We got lots of videos. You can go back and check all of the playlists and things that I've started to put together for folks. We just want you to be able to grow some epic stuff. And we're here to try to help by sharing what works for us, and maybe that helps you. So like, subscribe, all those fun things. Pretty please, and thank you. I do also feel really good about where we are seed starting wise. Like, we have gotten a lot of seeds started this year, which is awesome. Trying to find some better light here. Like, that feels really good to have a lot of those seeds started and in place, because it's one less thing to have to worry about. It's one less thing to have to buy, because we've got our own seeds, which is outstanding. We've got really nice looking tomatoes. I'll drop in some footage here of some of the close-ups. All of the lettuces and things, those were seedlings that we started. The kales, the arugula, the spinach. We've got more coming behind them now that I've already got seeded, and we're about 4 weeks out from our projected last frost date. So this weekend it's heavy in my goals to get a lot of our warm season stuff started in these greenhouses and get them growing. So, you know, we're going to be planting cucumbers and zucchinis and a lot of those warm season things and try to give them a little bit of a head start. Starting your own seedlings and learning how to start your old seedlings might be one of the single most effective ways to cut costs for home gardeners. Like, go look at what one tomato plant costs, right? Like one tomato plant is going to cost you $4 or $5 depending on where you get it and how big it is. But you can buy an entire packet of seeds for $2 or $3 depending on what they are. You buy a little bit of soil and now you have more tomatoes than you know what to do with, and you can maybe even sell some to people who didn't grow their own and help pay for the cost of the seeds in the soil that you used to start them with. And I think the same thing goes for any plants that you're starting, right? Like, we look at seed starting completely differently than we used to, because, whoops, that's kind of low overhead. Like, these are all volunteer plants that just came out of the grass that my wife likes to grow in her ornamental pots. We literally dug them out of the ground and put them into pots. Now they're growing on. We can move them around the landscape and use them different places. I was up in the chicken coop this morning. I'll go up there and take some pictures. I think I have volunteer spinach. Well, I know I can see at least one volunteer spinach. I don't know where it came from. Something must have gone to seed, and I threw it up in there for the chickens to pick through, and they didn't get it all. And so I have a volunteer spinach plant now. I also see some, it looks to me like purple leaf mustard, like a frilly purple leaf mustard is growing up there. Like, I've never seen that weed before, so I know that it has to have come from something that went to seed in my garden last year that ended up in the chicken run, got scratched around, and is now a volunteer plant. Those are all viable, guys. Like, go dig them up, put them in a little pot really quick, save them, and you can use them somewhere in your garden that is effective. But the seed starting thing has just been huge. Like, I've learned so much about the importance of that from watching Charles Dowding. I know I talk about him all the time, but I just really enjoy him. So if you haven't gone to check out his channel, you totally should. He is an absolute wealth of knowledge. But it's a huge, huge cost savings. Like, massive, to start your own seedlings. So learn how to do that. I've got some videos on that. There's lots of other videos online about that. It might be one of the most important things to learn how to do if you want to save a lot of money in the garden. Plus, you can direct seed a lot of stuff in your garden, right? But if you want it to look really nice and neat, one of the best ways ever to manage that is to use your own seedlings and start the seeds indoors, even if it's just for a couple weeks. And then when you put out your radishes and your beets and your lettuces and all of those things that you could have direct sowed anyway, the spacing will be perfect, the lines will be perfect, and everything will just look really good because you planted a seedling instead of a seed. So seed starting, phenomenal, keep doing it. But that also leads us to the last problem that I'll share with you from what we've done so far. I mean, we've had a lot of great things happen, but I started my seedlings. When it was time to plant them out, we got them in the ground and they're all growing great. Some of them, however, did not get into the ground yet, and that is going to end up causing me some problems. They're going to be slowed down. They're going to be delayed because their growth has been checked by the pots, which is causing them some issues. So we're going to go over here and look at a couple of them real quick. What happens is if you allow your seedlings to go too long or otherwise stress them, right? Like I had some of these cool weather plants, like these cabbages here. Let's see if you guys can see those. Oh, not with my big shadow. These cabbages and spinaches and arugulas and things that didn't fit, right? They didn't fit when we planted everything out into the garden. They're stressed now. They've been overheated. They've been dried a couple of times. Like they have issues. And so what will happen from my experience is that if I put them in the ground, they'll try to run to seed. They're going to bolt on me because they've been stressed. And so they're just trying to produce seeds and survive. So it's really, really important when you do the seed starting thing that you know where you plan to go with your seedlings and you get them in the ground early. Because any sort of stress to that plant is going to cause it to think that it's growing in an environment that's not conducive to its success. And so it won't try to thrive, it'll just try to reproduce. And it'll go to seed, and your harvests will be way less, and maybe even none at all, if the plant bolts fast enough, and you just won't even get anything out of them. So get them in the ground early, give them a chance to thrive. This is one of the things that has me a bit nervous this year is the condition of almost all of our fruit trees. We've had a really, really interesting spring. Like we've had days in the 70s, like just hot, warm, beautiful days. And then it will drop down into the 20s, like the high 20s in the evening. And so I'm not sure if that stressed these plants, but you can see just the pitiful amount of flowers that are on this. Like almost all of this is just new leaf growth, which I don't know, like it's only the second year for this tree to be here, so we're gonna just have to see kind of how that goes. Similar down here on this plum, like there's a little bit more flowering happening here, but it just never really did the whole, you know, like boom, I'm flowering thing that happened with the, you know, the nectarine down in the formal garden did that. The huge apricot tree out front did that. So I don't know if it was the weather and the cold or what. We're just gonna have to kind of keep an eye on these things and see what kind of harvest we get. But like I'm standing here on a warm day next to a flowering fruit tree and there's no buzzing. There's no bees. There's no insects hitting these very hard, which is not a good sign. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Well, so there is some sort of a frilly leafed mustard. And you can see that whatever it is, the birds like it because they've been picking at it. There was actually one, you can't see it very good in the shadow, but right there and right there that were looking really nice, and then the birds have come along and oh, they actually practically pulled that one up out of the ground. So the birds are into them, which means I better get some moved out of here before they take them all from me. All right, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. I'm sure it's going to be a great season. We're really looking forward to it. We'll continue sharing these monthly updates so that you can feel what's going on here in our space. And if that helps you with your journey, then awesome. That's kind of what we're trying to do. So thanks for watching. And remember, get outside because life's better when it's lived outdoors. We'll see you next time.